Yo guys, McMeghan here to bring you another game review. This time, this will be my second game of the past World Cup against ZF or Zoroark Forever, still in GSC OU. So I'll start by covering the team. As you can see from the pictures below, this is a Vaporeon offense. Vaporeon is one of my favorite Pokemon in GSC, one of the best threats in the tier, and it has like a lot of potential to sweep late game, as well as being pretty bulky and offering acting as a nice check to dangerous sweepers like Snorlax for example, because I'm running an acid armor set in this team. So this is a pretty common team. The team structure is very classic by now, and usually like the last can depend a little bit, but the rest of the team, Zapdos, Steelix, Cloyster, Exeggutor and Snorlax, is super classic, and I think it's called the Borat offense because this guy named Borat popularized this playstyle years ago. But yeah, anyway, I got this team given a while ago by Bedshy Buyer, so shout out to him for the team. And yeah, that's what I decided to roll up with against ZF. I just wanted to bring something solid, and yeah, I really like this team. I have a lot of experience with it. It has always served me well in the past. For example, in my GSC Cup run in the first Classic. And yeah, anyway, I'll explain a little bit how it works. The goal of the team is to sweep with Vaporeon with the current set: Acid Armor, Growth, Surf, Rest. Growth boosting your special attack by 1 stage, Acid Armor boosting your defense, and thanks to Vaporeon naturally good special bulk, you can take attacks from most special supers as long as they don't hit in your weakness super effectively. So in this case you are mainly talking about the electrics. And the goal of this team is to boom on Vaporeon's checks, so you can sweep lead game with Vaporeon. And for example, you have Steelix. Steelix is usually good at booming on stuff like Exeggutor or Zapdos especially, because even if it cannot hit Zapdos without boom, it really forces Zapdos in. And you take the trade all day, because once you remove Zapdos, that's one of the best Vaporeon check out of the game. You also have spikes pressure from Cloyster, as well as the boom threat as well. You have boom Exeggutor to still remove Zapdos or remove Snorlax. Although usually Snorlax isn't too much of a problem for Acid Armor Vaporeon, but yeah, you get the gist of it. So I'll cover the set individually a little bit. Standard Zapdos in the lead spot, nothing much to say about it. Standard Steelix as well, acting here as a normal switch, can take on Snorlax, Earthquake Snorlax that is, in the early game. You can rack up spikes damage from Cloyster thanks to Curse Roll, and you have the threat of Boom that you usually wanna use against a Vaporeon target. So another common strategy with Steelix is boosting to +1 with Curse, which enables you to one-shot Suicune with Boom. And while Suicune doesn't really check Vaporeon in a one-on-one situation, like it would lose if they were both last standing Pokemon, but it can force Vaporeon to rest with Toxic or roll it out. So if you it's always a nice win condition. Like it's always nice to have the Boom option in the back should I face a Suicune. Anyway, you have then Cloyster with HP Electric over Toxic. I like HP Electric in this team because it's meant to be used very offensively. You wanna keep the momentum all game, and against Cloyster, you don't really want to Toxicate and kill it little by little. You wanna leave a big dent on it, and HP Electric does like something like 45 to 55 off the top of my head. It's close to that range anyway. And removing Cloyster is actually good too, because Cloyster can boom on. It's faster than Vaporeon, as you can see from the speed stats here. It's faster and it can return a boom. So if you wanted to remove it from the game for Vaporeon. Then I have Executor with Sleep, Psychic, Giga Drain, and Explosion. The Executor is really good at removing Zapdos from the game. And yeah, like Zapdos is the biggest problem for Vaporeon usually, so that's good. Always threatening Pokemon too. Then you have Snorlax with a very classic set of Double Edge, Earthquake, Curse Rest. I don't know, there are probably other options, but I've been given this team with the current set and it always has worked for me, so never really felt like changing it. And then you have Vaporeon, the star of the show, well, usually, which aims to sweep late game with Acid Armor, Growth, Surf Rest. You can you can set up on stuff like Snorlax, Machamp, Marowak, and like even Executor has trouble against it. Once you get one boost or two from Acid Armor, you are protected from explosions too. So you're mainly afraid of strong T-bolts from the like of Gengar, Zapdos, Raikou, of course, but Zapdos and Raikou are meant to be boomed on by Cloyster and Executor, or abused on by Snorlax, so that's the goal of the team anyway. And I think that I covered the team pretty well, so I'll move to the game. Okay, so that was my second game. I had just lost against Bomber, but I still felt pretty good about my skills, so I was confident going into it. Let's start. So he led with Gengar, and I led with Zapdos. Gengar pretty uncommon lead in GSC, to be fair. I decided to stay in because what I would fear from Gengar in the lead position is like Hypnosis or Thief, and both moves are good to take with Zapdos in my opinion, since you have Sleep Talk, so decided to fire for Thunder. He showed Rhydon. I remember at the time I was like, oh man, I felt a little bad because in my preparation someone from my team told me that ZF uses a lot of Rhydon, so maybe I should consider HP Water on Zapdos. And I had a team with HP Water Zapdos, but I removed it for HP Ice, and I was like, oh, there is a Rhydon, too bad, but that's fine anyway. So he shows Rhydon. I go to my Mastery Rhydon checks in Executor. He goes to Snorlax. I felt like I'm gonna use a Sleep Powder to check what's his initial answer, usually Zapdos. If I can get the Zapdos in, well, I know that he has Zapdos, so I know like that I have to look to remove it from Vaporeon, but he goes to Vaporeon instead. The fact that he went on Sleep Powder pretty much told me that he is not an Acid Armor set, but a Growth Sleep Talk one, which it's probably better to face with this team, because Acid Armor, Sleep Talk can have some trouble against Snorlax, unlike Acid Armor, so that was good to know. So he went on Vaporeon to take the sleep, and he then went back to Snorlax. Predicting that, I decided to go to my Cloyster so I could get the spikes in. I also like doing that double and not waiting, just because like I wouldn't have to switch Cloyster on a potential lovely kiss, so I can get my spikes up and get rolling. So I get the spikes, and he switches in on Fortress. Not like the fact that he has Fortress means he doesn't have Cloyster, and it's probably better for me in a way, because Cloyster can be annoying for Vaporeon since it outspeeds and can threaten it with Boom. So he goes to Cloyster. I decide to get some damages on it. The reason why is that because I don't want I'd rather the Fortress to be an LC, so it cannot keep coming on Cloyster later in the game, and also I can put it in Executor range, because so far his team is looking a bit weak to Executor. Rhydon is one shot by Giga Drain, Gengar obviously won't like Psychic, Vaporeon doesn't like Giga Drain either, and Snorlax with Spikes has kind of have some trouble switching in on Psychic, so yeah. So he Spikes on the Surf. I surfed again, once again just trying to get damages. Also, when you look at it, it doesn't have really like great switching. He has a sleeping Vaporeon, Rhydon who obviously can switch in, Gengar who probably doesn't want to take surf damage, and Snorlax who has to fear the threat of Boom. So yeah, just getting damages. decide to up its spin, and now the fortress is already at 38%, which means it's getting in dangerous range to check my executor, which doesn't have fire coverage. And also now it's in range from surf, because I did 38.5 on the previous turn, so it can't die from surf. And knowing that information, I decided to spikes as it goes to executor. Like if he decided to stay in, he would put his fortress at risk. And yeah, that's why I decided to spikes. I didn't feel like he would stay in, and if he did, he would maybe use Giga Drain, but then I have my spikes up, and I can surf again later, so that's fine by me. He goes to executor, very common partner for Porian. I go to Zapdos to take a potential sleep move, but he uses Stun Spore on the switch. Pretty good move, I guess, because like if it hit, it makes Zapdos slower than Rhydon, which is pretty good against for him. But that's fine. Anyway, I know at this point that by having Zapdos against Executor, like if you look at his team, he doesn't have a good switch-in at all. Like he has a Snorlax, but if he doesn't have Sleep Talk, he doesn't really like switching on Thunder with Spikes on. Gengar is obviously no switching. Zapdos is one, but sorry, Rhydon is a Thunder switch, but it's 2 killed by HPIs after Spikes damage, I think, and it cannot one-shot me with Rock Slide. So it would probably, and like I could have HPIs too, because I can HPIs the Executor, so it probably won't go to Rhydon. And at this point, I feel like, okay, knowing all this information, and knowing that he probably wants to remove Zapdos to open the way for Vaporeon, he probably is gonna boom. But like, I don't feel like switching out, because even if he booms, I lose Zapdos, well, which is kind of a threat, but I can play without it. And him losing Executor kind of favors me in a way, because it opens the way for Vaporeon too. So that's why I decided to leave it at that. Also, even Steelix get a bit better without Executor. It doesn't have a single Earthquake resist afterwards. And yeah. And so it opens the way for my own Executor, because as I said a bit earlier, Fortress is low now with the spikes on, and everything it doesn't really like switching on Executor, besides his own. But if he booms on it, if he booms on my Zapdos and he loses it, that opens the way for me. So I decided Thunder, just in case he goes to Snorlax or I get a full paralysis, he boom right away. I go to my Snorlax here because I felt like it was the better choice against everything he had. And he goes to his own. And I think, yeah, I cruise first. He shows Double Edge for starters. It's okay. I cruise first because, well, I didn't know what was gonna come, so I just wanted to get in the setup wall if needed. So I can force it to sleep, for example. And I can check his moveset. Here I Earthquake, and I just felt like Earthquaking because he showed Boom, and I had no idea what his full set would be. So just in case it was 4 attack, like 4 attack doesn't really like the situation for him. So he could go to something like Gengar and try to sleep me, or he could go to Rhydon. And that's why I decided to Earthquake, catching those. But he just stayed in and cursed it. And I got a crit from Earthquake, pretty helpful, not gonna lie, because thanks to that crit, I can put it in the 2 kill range from Double Edge. We both Double Edge for 40 on this turn, and now we are both getting very low. I'm at 23 and he's at 17. And if we wanna kill each other, like I will have to I can kill it with Earthquake, but he has to use Double Edge. So in this situation, I was thinking like, do I switch or do I stay in? And okay, I'm putting my thought into organizing my thought, but yeah, okay. So at this point, I felt like, do I switch out or do I stay in with Snorlax and with the speed tie? And I felt like if I lose the speed, he has to Double Edge to kill me anyway. So if he Double Edge and kill me, he's in range from pretty much everything I have, even I think Psychic from Executor or Server for Vaporeon. And with the spikes down, it won't be able to rest on anything or even take something from my Pokemon at this point. So it's no big deal if I lose the speed tie. And if I win it, I'm in a really good position because he has nothing to to kill my Snorlax, and he's pretty much forced in to go Fortress and boom. And once Fortress is dead, you only have 3 Pokemon, while I have 3 Boomer on my side and Vaporeon. So I felt really great if I got the speed time, and even if I didn't, I still like my position. So I decided to go for it. The risk wasn't too big, and the reward was worth going for. I got the speed tie. Got a bit lucky in this sequence, not gonna lie, between the crit from Earthquake and the speed tie here. So now he goes Fortress. The only thing he can do at this point is boom, which is fine by me. He spins first, which makes sense because Earthquake won't kill. Earthquake doesn't kill, so he can spin and then boom, which is fine. I decided to cruise here, probably not a good move in retrospect. I was like, okay, if I cruise here and he doesn't have boom, I have better odds because like I can do more damage to Rhydon and I can even do more damage to Vaporeon. I was thinking that, but in retrospect, it's bad because like he's obviously has boom. In this kind of team, the Fortress always does. So I should probably have gone for an Earthquake crit instead, so I could kill my Snorlax. But yeah, that was kind of it was a little mistake in retrospect, but like I said earlier, not a big deal. He booms as he is forced to. He removes my Snorlax from the game. Technically I could have gone to Steelix, but I'd rather keep Steelix earthy, and like Snorlax wasn't gonna do anything at this point anyway. It was too low, it was hardly gonna wake up, and with the spikes down, it could hardly come in on anything. So yeah, I take that trade all day. Here I went Steelix because Steelix matches up well against Gengar, which was kind of it was the closest thing of a threat to my remaining 4. And if you went to Rhydon or Vaporeon, I can just switch to my Cloyster or Executor also, no problem. I go Steelix here and I fire off an Earthquake. Sorry, just gonna drink a little bit. Okay, I went for Earthquake because at this point, as I said 2 times before in the game, my Executor is looking awesome. I one-shot Rhydon with Giga Drain while regaining HP. I threaten Vaporeon with Giga Drain, and I threaten Gengar with Psychic. Steelix doesn't have much to fear from Gengar, besides Fire Punch, but that's uncommon as fuck, and it wouldn't make much sense in this team. And if he had Hypnosis on Gengar, I wouldn't mind Steelix sleeping, because it prevents him from sleeping my Executor in this case. So I decided to use Earthquake. He went to Rhydon and took a fast 50%, always some good damage to take. Went to my Rhydon check in Executor. Earthquake did absolutely nothing, and by doing Earthquake and not double switching, he gave me a free turn for Executor, and here I do a really stupid mistake. I sleep order. I completely forgot I put the Vaporeon to sleep. I remember I told my teammates, sorry, misclick, but that wasn't a misclick. It was a stupid mistake. Could have just Psychic here and kill something, or threaten something at least. And now, like, that's pretty dumb too, because now I have to deal with the threat of Hypnosis Gengar, and I don't want my Executor to sleep. But anyway, I went Vaporeon. I felt like Vaporeon wasn't too much of a... sadly, the team is centered around Vaporeon, but it wasn't gonna do much in this situation because Gengar prevents him from sweeping. Rhydon obviously loses to Vaporeon, but I have Cloyster and Executor to deal with it anyway, and his Vaporeon kind of beats me because he has Sleep Talk and I don't, so I don't need my Vaporeon at this point. He reveals Teeth on the switch. The fact that he has Teeth probably means he doesn't have Hypnosis at this point, because it would make more sense for him to run Boom with Vaporeon on the team. Like, yeah. Similarly to my team, he probably has Gengar and Executor to Boom on Vaporeon's targets. So he has Teeth Explosion and probably Ball Beam coverage. So I don't have to fear Hypnosis at this point, which is a big relief. He T-balled Vaporeon. As I said earlier, I don't mind the Vaporeon getting an LC at this point because it's not my win condition, and by surfing once, I put the Gengar in a psychic range from Executor. Which is always good because if I can put it in range and I avoid losing to a crit Ice Punch, for example, I take it all day. Here, T-Bolt did 39, and he did 39, so I could lead the T-Bolt, and I felt like I don't need Vaporeon, like I said, so I just surf again. Expected the Steelix, he went for Ice Punch, but he didn't do anything. So I got even more damage. Now, figuring, like, considering the pattern of plays I did, it was pretty obvious he wasn't gonna risk the Gengar and Ice Punch again, so he was probably gonna go T-Bolt. And I decided to go Steelix because when Vaporeon died, I would go Steelix anyway. And since I expected the T-Bolt, I just go Steelix and can keep the Vaporeon as a sack later. It can always be useful. So now he's lacking in Earthquake Switch 2. He goes to Vaporeon and he does a solid 30, but he has a Rest Talk and a Rest, so the damage isn't too important at this point. I go to my cluster knowing that he has a Rest Talk Rest, knowing that he can't Acid Armor, and like Acid Armor could be a kind of a problem because it would tank the boom from Executor and even Cloyster, but knowing that it doesn't have it, I can just go to my cluster safely and get the spikes up, which can be useful so Gengar doesn't get LC again thanks to leftovers and double switches, or even his other Pokemon. So I get the spikes up, and here I have the treat of boom with Cloyster. If I boom on Vaporeon, I pretty much win the game with Executor because it would beat the last two. So I just need to get the right timing. He has two boom switches at this point, but I just need the right timing. And yeah, I'm just waiting for the appropriate turn I feel like to boom. I think at this position, since he had slept twice, I felt like he would just stay and rest again because I wasn't in range yet. Or actually, I think I was in range with the growth boost, so that's why I boomed. But he played well here and went Gengar. So I boomed for nothing. Not a big deal because I still have Executor to win the game. Although I cannot miss my boom at this point. Actually, I have the boom from Executor and from Steelix, so that's fine. So I go to Gengar here. I go to Steelix on the Gengar. Knowing that he wants Stain, I roll, and I get the Gengar again. I didn't roll here because the Vaporeon was getting a bit low. But he's gonna wake up so he can rest. Maybe I should have rolled again, to be fair. And now you'll see that Vaporeon is very bulky because Giga Drain does absolutely nothing. 36. But the thing is, well, there are two things to keep in mind. The first thing is, he needs to roll if I get a crit with Giga Drain, he needs to roll rest during his sleep turns, otherwise he loses. And if I get the Psychic drop, he has to switch out, like otherwise he will lose to the Giga Drain. And in the meantime, Giga Drain is even getting me some HPs back. So I was going for the... Since Giga Drain only has 8 PPs, I was going for the Psychic drops. And I caught his Rhydon, which is good because now that Rhydon is dead, I know that as soon as I kill Vaporeon, I win with Steelix whatsoever. So that's very good. He goes back to Vaporeon. And it's looking really good for me. I just need to kill the Vaporeon and predict the boom accordingly and win with Steelix. Of course, I have to not mess up at this point because if I boom as he goes Gengar, I lose the game to Vaporeon. Actually, I don't lose it yet because I can go to Steelix and I can boom on it, and if we trade kills at this point, I win with my last standing Vaporeon. So I still have a lot of leeway. So I'm just fishing for a Psychic drop at this point because I'm preserving my Giga Drain PPs. And he's stuck in he is forced to always go for Rest Sleep Talk. And as you can see, Giga Drain heals a load back, so it's a very good situation for me. He gets a crit here with sleep toe, but that's the turn I decided to use boomer. So at this point I win beside the outside of like a freeze from Ice Punch. That's what he said too, if I remember correctly. So we advanced for freeze, he didn't get it, and I win the game. So it was a much faster game than the first one against Bomber, which makes sense considering the kind of team I brought in both games. It went very well for me. I got nice damages earlier against Fortress, which helped me a lot to keep the spikes up. And I got to, like, when you check both teams, both are boomed offense revolving around Vaporeon. And usually those games are kind of decided by who get the most out of his boom and out of his Pokemons. And in my case, for example, my Snorlax managed to kill the Snorlax and take down the Fortress, which means at this point, and considering that he boomed with his own Executor against my Zapdos, that means I had 4 Pokemon against 3, while I had 3 Boomer on my side, which gave me a lot of breathing air. And considering his weakness to Executor, I didn't even have to predict the boom very well to win. I had a very like easy game, I guess, late game, considering how it went. And yeah, I managed to take it, not fuck it up. Almost did kind of when I blowed with Cloyster on the Gengar, but then was still in a favorable position, so it's fine. And yeah, pretty good, pretty glad I got the first win. And if you have any question, once again, feel free to drop that in the comments. The last GSC game from the first one will be uploaded soon, maybe tomorrow if I get if I have the time. So yeah, check it out. And until next time, see ya.